What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video I have another unboxing. It's been a long time since I've done an unboxing. The first one that I've done outside of the massive unboxing of my Airliners International models since the Airliners International convention. This was announced in the, I believe it was the June releases. Yeah, I think it was the June releases. But originally this was not included on the actual release itself, so if you go back and watch the NG June release video that I did while I was in Charlotte, recorded it with another good friend of mine, it was not in there. So there was some initial confusion, but after a couple days they ended up posting this release, and that made everybody happy. And what will make me happy is if I can open this box, which again proves a bit difficult because I can't cut through the tape on this side right here due to the box being a little folded. Or, you know, the tape is right up against the cardboard, so I've got no room to open it. There we go. So, packing peanuts packed in there as always, and the model in question, which has been called Model of the Year by some sources. This is the PSA L-1011 by NG Models. Very excited to add another Tristar to the collection, another one from NG specifically, since now I've got, I think, like 4 or 5, since I have the TWA one, I have a Delta one now, a United one, and then the Eastern that I just picked up at Airliners, and now this PSA. So this actually be my 5th one in the collection. Very excited about this. Let's see if it lives up to the Model of the Year expectations by unboxing this up in the studio and finding out. And here we go for the unboxing of the NG Models 1/400 scale Pacific Southwest Airlines Lockheed L-1011 Tristar 1. So PSA is kind of a unique operator for the Tristars, as they originally ordered 5 of them for their fleet, but they only took 2. The other 3 orders were canceled and they were taken to LTU. Lockheed resold those airframes and LTU International took them for their use. But for the 2 Tristars that PSA had, which was November 10112 and November 10114, which is the one NG had, these are the 2 that they flew with. And what's awesome about the former registration, that one is the exact same aircraft that's in Kansas City as the Tristar experience, which I was very fortunate to tour last year at the Airliners International show in Kansas City. So very nice to have that sentimental value. I kind of wish they did that other registration, but at the end of the day, the only difference between those 2 is just the registration number, so I can live with it being the other registration. But I think Aero Classics / Loch Ness Models, whatever the subsidiary that made that, and JetX made that specific registration. So if I'm really after that tail number, I'll have to go to those 2. But maybe NG will come back and they'll do the other registration, because typically NG loves to do duplicates, and they really don't do duplicates of stuff that people really love, but you never know with NG. Anything goes with them, and that's just how they roll. But as always, I'll do the box review. We've got the little PSA logo up here, the one Tristar logo, and then the text logo there. There's the image of the plane. Registration is November 10114. 1/400 scale collectible models, die-cast metal. And I love the box art that they went with here, which is just looks like an amalgamation of different bars with the livery colors in there, which is kind of meant to represent what they had on the actual aircraft. So you have like the magenta and then the orange-ish color there, looking really nice. Bottom of the box, there's the aircraft logo, image of the plane, registration, and a barcode. Item number is 31038. Lockheed L-1011 1, PSA logo, 1/400 scale collectible models, die-cast metal. Top side and left side there with the other PSA logo. This one is the one that has the colorful bars on it. And on the back, there it is right there with not much different. A little crease in the box, but probably from shipping, which, you know, is inevitable these days because USPS, I don't know how many billions of packages do they handle every week, or even like, you know, millions every day even. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, let's take this beauty out. And we do have or actually no, you know what? They changed the collector card, I forgot. They completely changed the collector card, so this is actually the new design that they had. And now, as you saw, it's just like the green gradient on the front with a serial number and then the pin that you scratch off. And then on the back, there's a collecting guidance, which I guess replaces the little card that they included before, but you can pause to read all the necessary information. It looks like the translation is really good on this, just looking at it here. Yeah, translation went really well, so they did a really good job getting that translated from Chinese to English. But anyway, enough about that. Let's take this beauty out. Oh boy, wow. Very hot to the touch. It's been very hot the last few days, but my goodness. And there is that extra added piece, which I'll talk about in a minute. Good grief. Another reason why people love NG, and this is another one of the bright spots that NG has had this year. They've been ridiculed a lot for their release choices, which, you know, I don't blame. Obviously, there's a lot of perspectives to consider when it comes to how they're announcing releases lately. Really, really interesting just to look at all the different perspectives that come together. And, you know, there's a lot of disagreements. There's a lot of, you know, complaints. It's just varying perspectives all coming together. And, you know, there's really nothing you can do but just make your voices heard and let NG know that you're not satisfied with what they're currently releasing. And maybe they'll get it to change a little bit, but, you know, regions that don't get represented well, I don't think they're asking for one release to be just entirely of their region, like in Europe or Oceania, etc. They just want at least a couple releases so that they know that they're being acknowledged by NG. And, you know, there's different perspectives. It's like, you know, these models don't sell well. I mean, they've done a lot of models that I don't think have sold well to begin with, so I don't really buy into that, to be totally honest, but, you know, we'll see what happens. As I've said many times before, we've still got half the year left or so, a little less than that actually, but once we get to the end of the year, it will be interesting to see how things have evolved since then. But anyway, here's the PSA L-1011, and might I say, this is a beautifully gorgeous model. Very impressed with how NG performed on this. And this is one that people have been asking NG to make for years and years and years and years and years. I know one particular individual who has been just demanding NG to make this for about as long as I've known him, and he was very happy to see this get made, even if it took them a couple extra days to announce it, because this is one of the planes included in the hints, but they didn't do it right away, and eventually they came back to it, and here we are. Starting off at the front, there's the black nose cone, cockpit windows, and you also have that smile. PSA was known for their iconic smile on their aircraft, and the L-1011s especially, it is really prominent. There you can see it. Look at that smile. That's one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen. Very, very nice. One antenna up on the top, there's the PSA titles, and you'll note this extra piece right behind the nose landing gear. This is actually a skid piece for when PSA had the little lounges underneath the cabin. This is one of the distinct characteristics of PSA's Tristars, and I think a couple other airlines have them as well, early on in the Tristar's life. So for the FAA to be okay with there being an extra area for passengers underneath the cabin, they were required to add this little extra skid piece, which I'm going to have to look back through my footage of the Tristar experience. I don't think the Tristar experience plane has that now. I think they took that off later on in its life, but I will look back through the footage and I'll put up a screen grab of the shot that shows whether or not that skid piece is there. If I have a shot. I think I do, but I'll look through video here as I'm editing this video. But it's a very fascinating piece there. So NG just put on, it's not molded to the fuselage, it's just an extra piece that they slapped on there. So like an antenna, they just drill a little tiny hole and then glue it into place. You have the L2 door back there, along with a very tiny little door right there for luggage probably, or maybe that might be an emergency exit door actually. Or actually, you know what? That is the door that we boarded the Tristar from. That is actually what that door is. So that Tristar Experience plane still has that door. So I'm guessing, without looking at the video right now, I think that other piece right here, that is probably still there, if that door is still there. So anyway, very interesting details to note there. Couple antennas underneath, and then there's the very lovely RB211 engines. Again, I keep forgetting the exact variant, but that Tristar Experience one, that's the only one of its type with those engines that are flying. The Stargazer plane has a slightly different variant of the RB211s, so just another note there. There's the main landing gear looking really good. L3 door, and then the very tiny L4 door there. There's the registration, November 10114. Then you got the very lovely PSA tail with the titles, and then, of course, the colors on it, which is like a nice magenta and orange. Kind of meant to signal California, to signify California's, like, not necessarily climate, but like the environment and whatnot. Maybe not like that, I don't know. I don't know too much about the history of PSA's colors. On the right side, you can see the Nose gear door has the fleet code on it, which is 502, so I'm guessing the other one was 501 or maybe 500. And there's the door on that side as well, so you've got it on that right side along with the little luggage door there. And then on the back there's a couple more luggage doors, and there's the PSA tail there. And I noted this, I actually recorded this a little while back. This video has not come out yet from when this one is initially released, but I did note the little details here, which are just above and ahead of the doors there. So I think that might say something like emergency exit information or something. I don't know for sure, but it is interesting to note those details there. Man, this thing is just gorgeous. Definitely, I would say, is probably... It's not the model of the year because we've still got several months left, but it is definitely going to be a contender if there is an official award for that. Bottom of the aircraft there, you see the polished belly, which they did excellent on, and then the top there with all the various wing details you could ask for. Best Tristar on the market right now, and NG is certainly utilizing it well, at least for this particular example. And this is the type of stuff we need to see NG make more of, because these Tristars, they fly off shelves, especially like the Delta widget ones. Those were long gone. And this PSA one, I think this one, it's still sticking around at some places, but I'm guessing within the next month or two, they will probably be completely gone. So definitely get your hands on one if you are interested in Tristars and especially love collecting retro stuff. I was a bit on the fence about getting this, but just hearing what people were talking about, I was like, you know what? Let me bite the bullet on it, and I will just buy this, because I'm supposed to be saving up money, but there are still exceptions that I have to make, and I will likely have a couple more models on the way, so be on the lookout for that here pretty soon. So that'll do it for this unboxing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.